Oil has long been the lifeline of Gulf economies. But countries like the United Arab Emirates are putting more money into cleaner forms of energy. By 2050, the UAE wants almost half of its power to come from renewables. It's something the firms behind Dubai's largest solar park aren't too surprised about.
You can fix the cost. The cost doesn't change. Whereas in the case of fossil fuel-based energy, 75% of the cost is the fuel cost, which is oscillating as the market moves.
According to the UN Environment Programme, total investments in renewable energy projects hit $280 billion last year, adding a record 157 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity globally. That's more than twice the amount for fossil fuels. China was by far the leader in clean energy spending, accounting for 45% of all the money put into renewables in 2017. Analysts say the huge investments, which amounted to $127 billion last year, are partly an attempt by the country to clean up its act.
It is too dependent on coal-fired power. It accounts for two-thirds or more of the country's power generation each month. It needs to wean the country off its favourite fuel because it is dirty and it has vast amounts of land in the west, which is perfect for very large renewable power projects.
Gulf countries also have economic motivations to invest in green energy. Saudi Arabia is trying to diversify its oil-reliant economy and announced plans last month to build the world's largest solar park. The project with Japan's SoftBank could see total investment of $200 billion.
I fully expect us to be able to get to a point where we are generating more than what we need, and we'll start exporting.
With lots of sunshine and plenty of land to build on, countries in the Middle East could become key players in the global drive towards cleaner energy. It's an opportunity that governments here are wising up to and dedicating more resources towards. Nawied Jabarkhyl, TRT World, Dubai.
For more on this, let's go to Francoise in Paris. She's the head of the Energy and Climate branch's finance unit at the United Nations Environment Programme. Francoise, great to have you on Money Talks. Look, the Middle East, as we've been hearing over there in the report, is blessed with abundant sunshine. Why is it not diverting even more of the billions of dollars that it has at its disposal to even more investment in solar? I mean, it could surely become a world leader in this field, couldn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And I expect, more and more countries to invest in renewable energy. If you look at the latest figures that our report is publishing today, we had yet again a year with more than $200 billion of investment, and almost two-thirds of it coming from emerging and developing economies. So I do expect, those countries, most of them being blessed with a lot of potential, solar or wind, to come to the top bracket in terms of investment over the coming years.
Do you think, though, this progress could be derailed by what is happening in the US? I mean, Donald Trump has pulled out of the Paris Climate Change Agreement. He's slapped tariffs on imports of solar panels. Is this all going to have a chilling effect on this wonderful growth in renewables that we have seen so far?
Look, if we look at the figures for last year in terms of investment, the US is definitely dwarfed by China. China invested $126 billion in renewable energy, wind and solar, and the US only $40 billion. We haven't seen any decrease in investment in the US last year. The investment are still there, slight decrease, but still, very, very, very high on the investment. What we see is more and more emerging and developing economies coming to the forefront. China leads, but it's followed by India, by Mexico. Even outside the top 10, we've seen Egypt and the United Arab Emirates last year.
But look, oil prices. Let's talk about oil for a second. They've almost doubled from the low that was hit at the beginning of 2016. How has that impacted the race, if I want to call it that, between renewables and fossil fuels?
Look, we've seen the cost of renewables going down year after year since, for the last 10 years. If you look at solar PV costs, they've gone down 79% over the last 9 years. If you look at onshore wind, it's something like 44%. So those technologies are becoming increasingly competitive in most of the cases. So I really expect them to take over fossil fuels in most cases over the coming years.
OK, but how do you account, though, for perhaps what Goldman Sachs said in a recent report? They said just last month that the world's biggest oil companies, the legendary Seven Sisters, have entered a new golden age. And that is mainly because of the rise in fuel prices that we've seen, which means that there is actually a lot more investment perhaps going into fossil fuels than there was even just a couple of years ago.
If you look at the capacity invested last year, renewables represented 157 gigawatts, which is much more than all the fossil fuel generation capacity finance, which was $70 billion. So I do expect renewables to continue, as they've done over the last year, to overtake fossil fuel generation capacity.
OK, here's to hoping. Francoise Destay, thank you very much indeed.